Is the ice cream parlor in the restaurant. Off to the left is the main gift shop.
Main gift.
Go through the Avenue of Flags. You'll be staying on top of the Grandview Terrace. Right below the Grandview Terrace is going to be the Lincoln Borglum Museum. That's where you're going to find the orientation film in Theater A and B. The carving of Mount Rushmore. They stack the time frame staggers by 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes it starts.
However, due to his age and his failing health, Taft said that he didn't think he was quite the right man for the job, but he liked the idea enough to recommend someone else. This gentleman here, Gutzon Borglum. Borglum had recently made a name for himself, carving a different mountain outside of Atlanta, Georgia. It's called Stone Mountain, and it's a Confederate memorial to people of the likes of Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson. And Gutzon liked the idea when he was contacted by John. However, he wasn't quite done in Georgia yet, so he said he was going to come up in September of that year and take a look at what he had planned, and then he would go back to Georgia and finish his work before he got started actually carving on the project that John had set out for. However, when he came up to the hills in September, he took one look at the needles and said, "This is no good. They are too fragile and too weathered to withstand lava carving." So he said he was going to go back to Georgia, he would finish that project completely before he would come back and scout for new locations. However, when he returned to Georgia and found out that the project heads there weren't particularly happy with his work, they thought he was taking too long and asking for too much money. Originally being carved on the other side of George Washington, they actually got about a year and a half into that initial carving before they discovered a crack that ran from the chin all the way up to behind the nose, making it no longer structurally sound to carve there, and they made the very difficult decision to blast that initial face off of the mountain, adjusted the model, moving Jefferson to the other side of George Washington, and began carving again. Eventually, in 1936, they did land on this final model, and it's the one we see on the memorial today. However, now that we have this design, you might be asking, how do we get this up onto the mountain? Do you think we used a big projector? Maybe we painted it on there first and then we carved away? That was a few ideas that they threw around at the time. However, eventually they decided to land on a system that they knew would work because it's been used in several ancient architectural projects in the past. It's called the pointing system, and it uses a tool like this. This disc would have been marked with the 360 degrees of a circle with an arm that could move along that axis. And one of these would be placed on the top of each of the model's heads. You can see one up on Lincoln's head there. And it would be attached to a rope that had a plumb bob or a weight on the end of it. And this would be pushed out and lowered down to touch each spot on the faces. Before the angle, the horizontal and the vertical measurements would then be recorded. The horizontal and vertical measurements would then be multiplied by 12 before being replicated using a very large version of this up on top of the mountain. The reason it was multiplied by 12 is because 1 inch on the model behind me represents 1 foot up on the mountain. So using and then they would load them up into those holes and blast every day at noon and 4. They had chosen those times because it was the lunch hour at the end of the day, so they knew nobody would be up there when it happened. And they got so precise with this method that they were actually able to get within 2 to 4 inches of the finished product this way. An estimated 90% of the memorial was actually carved using dynamite. However, once you have that rough outline of the faces, it's time to bring out the finer details. And this part of the process started with Gutzon Borglum himself getting into one of those bosun's chairs with a can of red paint strapped to his head, and he would be lowered over the faces, and at every 6 inches, he would mark how much stone still needed to be removed at each spot. To give you a frame of reference, every 6 inches up on the mountain is over ½ inch on the model behind me, so it's a lot of red paint. But once he had those measurements all painted on, he could rely on another crew of drillers to come through and drill to horizontally this time to the lengths that he had specified. However, rather than drilling kind of wherever they felt they needed it, this time they did it in what's called a honeycomb construction, which meant that they would drill at 1 inch intervals across the entirety of the faces. And they did this because it weakened the granite structure and allowed another crew of men to come through with chisels and hammers and just knock off small bits at a time, so that they could get more precise details than what they would be able to achieve with the dynamite. This is how the hairs in Lincoln's beard, the rim of Roosevelt's glasses, and the finer details in the eyes were completed. And as I'm sure you can imagine, drilling and chiseling away at stone all day takes a lot of wear and tear on their metal tools. They actually went through an estimated 300 drill bits every single day, which would be quite expensive to replace. So the solution instead was to have a blacksmithing shop built here at the base of the mountain, and that individual's job was to day in and day out make sure that all 300 of those tools were ready to use again the next day.